What do you say? How do you say? I'm just blessed to see another day. I go by the name of Terror the Barber, and this is Razor Sharp Podcast. Today, we have Lamar, owner, operator of I said it right, Distinguished Grooming Bar, Barbershop, and now Salon Suite, right?
Yes, sir.
So thank you, my brother, first and foremost, for coming on board.
I appreciate
and
you, man.
finally getting on the Razor Sharp Podcast.
I appreciate you.
He be trying to see I'm too big, he's a small fry.
I'm
like,
little
no.
in this game, man.
I said, no, I want to make sure you get the Salon Suite up and running so we can have first of all, your story of being a barber is one thing, but I want the overall story of how you started, your upbringing, and then what made you want to become a Salon Suite owner. So that's why I said I wanted to wait.
Gotcha.
And now the time is now because we had his establishment and we have this great conversation. So first and foremost, I want to start back of where you come from, where you was born.
Right. I was actually born in Akron, Ohio, man. Only
Akron,
thing we know
Ohio.
for is LeBron James. That's it.
Okay.
Nobody know about it other than that. Small town. My mom moved me to Georgia when I was probably about 12 years old. Mm-hmm. And I've been here, doing my own thing ever since, kind of made my own paths, and did high school here. And then shortly after, I joined the military. Mm-hmm. I was in the Marine Corps for 21 years.
Thank you for your service.
I appreciate that. And that's when it all kind of started for me. I always kind of wanted to know I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Just never knew how it was going to look or what it was going to look like. So once I actually retired from the military, believe it or not, I was doing Uber. I was Uber driver.
Really?
Probably one of the best jobs of my life, man. Got to meet a lot of people, made a lot of contacts. And that's how the whole Distinguished brand came about, just listening to passengers, giving me some advice, telling me some things. And I retired in 2019 from the military, and in 2022, after COVID, is when Distinguished Gentlemen Grooming Bar Barbershop started.
Okay.
And we took that. I watched, how that was kind of developing and forming, and I was just like, man, maybe I shouldn't just be an owner. Maybe I should learn how to do this.
Okay, so you was so you was doing a barbershop before you was a barber.
Yes.
Okay, so how was it being an Uber driver?
It was pretty good, actually. Like I said, it was a time for me to decompress from the military, kind of get used to kind of how the civilian mind thought, listen to different perspectives, and I liked it. I did that for about 3.5 years, and it led me to meet the contacts that eventually helped me open the barbershop.
Okay.
And it was a blessing. I never thought that I would be doing that. I was just kind of led down this path.
So what was your specialty while you was in the service?
So I was in the military. I was a paralegal. I worked with lawyers. Yeah, I worked with lawyers for like 16 years. I got my degree in criminal justice.
Oh.
And I thought that was the path that I was going to go down. Unknowns to me, that wasn't the path. And it shifted. I got out of the military. Like I said, did Uber for 3 years. And that was the path that I needed to go down.
So when it comes to you being a paralegal, did you choose that before you got into the military? Or you signed up to the military and whatever testing you did, they said that would be a good position for you.
Absolutely.
How does that work?
Absolutely. Once you take your testing, that's what the field that put me in, something more clerical. And that led me to the legal realm. And that's kind of where I stayed for the duration of my career. I stepped off for a little while, did some military recruiting for the Marine Corps.
Okay.
I recruited for 4 years, was out here in these high schools doing the guys' work, trying to make these 17 and 18-year-olds understand how the military could benefit them. And I was pretty successful at that as well. And after that tour was over, I went right back to working with lawyers in the paralegal realm.
Okay, I mean those are good things to know because all of those things will coincide into what you're doing now. One, having to be able to know the jargon of the legal terms and knowing about how to file things properly and in the proper way to go about doing things. Also, when you're recruiting for the military, you have to know how to inform people of the benefits of being in it, and when you leaving that and coming to the barbershop, when you recruit new barbers, you have to be able to give them a reason why they should come to your spot. So that makes sense that you have that background in recruiting. So you got out of the military, you was doing Uber, you created a good communication line of people. So from there, what made you say the barbershop though? Because you could have did anything. You could have did an event space. You could have did a restaurant. Why go into the beauty industry?
Well, as you know, in the military, you got to get a haircut every week, right? So I almost found myself as a critic of barbershops. Every state, every country, I was like, why do they do things like this? Oh, I like how they do this. And that turned into, you know what? Once I get out of the military, I'm gonna have my own. And anybody who's known me for a small amount of time knew that PFC Moore, Sergeant Moore, Staff Sergeant Moore always said he was gonna own a barbershop.
Okay.
Just from my experience of going into barbershops and waiting or getting massages or doing little small things, I took pieces from every place, every country that I ever went and try to incorporate it into what you see now in the Distinguished brand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you stumble upon McDonough?
So when I retired, I knew I wanted to, kind of move a little bit south of the city. And then, I wanted something that made me feel comfortable, kind of good school systems. I still have a younger kid that I wanted to get in a good school system. So we just kind of searched this area. I stumbled upon a property that we wanted to buy. We built our home out here. So it only made sense. So when I was starting my business, I would like to be close to where I live. So,
absolutely.
I scoured this area, and then went to some outskirts area to do some comparing and some contrasting to see what would be some pros and cons about staying in McDonough or possibly leaving McDonough. And it only made sense. The development of this city, as you know, has been huge.
Absolutely.
So it led me to be, this will be a good place based upon the 5 and the 10 year, the 5 and 10 year projections of what this city was doing and is now doing.
Yeah, I mean, from when we moved down here, we've been down here now for 4 years, me, my wife, and my kids, and just to see things, groundbreaking. They breaking ground and they creating these shopping centers and restaurants.
Right.
Coming from where we come from in New York, we have never seen nothing like that.
Right.
So to see that, does it inspire you to do other things, to create new ways of income because you're seeing all of these establishments being built?
100%. A lot of people, when I opened up the barbershop and I started tinkering with the idea of opening up something else, and I thought about staying there, like, why stay at McDonough? You already have something there. But I just saw the ability to grow and to put my footprint down here. And this building that we're actually in was available when I got my barbershop.
Okay.
And I always walked past it. And I was like, God willing, I could put my next vision in that building if it made sense. And here we are, 4 years later, it made sense. It was still available. And I was able to expand down into this space.
Okay, so let's get into the barbershop thing, because you're the second person I've met that's from a military background that opened up a barbershop, right? Shout out to Jared at Smoking Mirrors Barbershop. We did an interview on him, and it was good to get his story. And his story is a little bit similar, having the military background. And you're coming off of just getting into the barbershop, not being in the barber industry, not being a barber.
Right.
And just going head first.
Right.
What was your experience from finding the location to doing the build out?
You know what? I relied a lot on the leadership traits and the intangible things that you learn in the military, right? While we say a lot of those things are universal and they transfer over, it really did when it came down to me looking for the barbershop. I looked at some of the same things that I would have done if I was trying to lead a junior Marine in and out of a situation. I used those same traits. I just translated it over into opening up the business. I can remember countless hours of being stuck in traffic, going in multiple places, until I circled all the way back and stumbled upon the barbershop. The build out there wasn't as bad as this one, because there was a shell already. There was some things, the infrastructure already there. So I was just able to come implement my vision into that actual infrastructure. So it made sense, and it took me, short amount of time to do this, but it was, successful, instantly, probably about a year opening. We started to, see success.
Okay, so you got into the barbershop, right? When you got to the barbershop and you started to build it out, and now you're ready to find barbers, how was that?
Again, I relied on my military recruiting ability, because as you said, I was not a barber. Only thing I knew about barbering is I got my haircut every week. Okay. I know how a good haircut looked. I know how it felt. And I know the type of environment that I wanted to be in. So I wasn't even on social media. I just used the old style way of doing things. I hung banners, I passed out flyers, I made phone calls, and I met the right people. Like I said, while I was doing Uber, I met people who were already interested in possibly working in my shop before it was done. I hung banners on the building to show this is going to be a barbershop. I'm accepting all barbers. So I have 7 chairs down there, and the day I opened, I had 6 of them filled.
Wow.
The day I opened, yeah.
That doesn't happen all the time, I know barbers that struggle, So I've always wanted to own a barbershop, and then I got a bad taste in my mouth years into me being a barber, of seeing the other barbershop owners struggle with just getting barbers in the chair, getting barbers to rent a chair to keep them staying there. Then so that was the reason why I just said that I never wanted to really pursue that dream, right? But I seen from other barbers that want to love the barber industry and wanted to have their own space to try to create something. Now, you just coming on to be a business owner and not being a barber, what made you want to say, okay, I'm not just going to own a shop, but I'm going to be in there cutting?
I think it's, for what you just described, it's in reversed.
Okay.
I probably am more in line of thinking how you thought. If I would have been a barber first, I would have never opened up a barbershop because of some of the trials that you probably get tainted with from being a barber.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't want that problem. I'd rather just keep what I keep, do what I do, and leave, right? But since I did it in reverse, I guess it's kind of like innocence. I didn't know any better, right? So going into ownership first and seeing something develop, and I'm seeing, okay, what things do I need to correct? Where are the deficiencies? And they always say, as a business owner, the number one part about business, you have to be present. So even though I wasn't cutting hair, I was there every day, as if like my life depended on it. I was there, whether it was taking out the trash, sweeping up the floor. But doing that, my observation was, why don't you learn how to do something in here that could gain you money or gain a profit, right?
Since you're already there.
Since I'm already here, I'm here every day. So I stumbled upon, and kind of how our relationship started, I stumbled upon possibly going to barber school. So I started looking for barber schools, doing my research, talked to Scales. Shout out to Scales.
Shout out to Scales.
Looked at some barber schools, using my military benefit. And I was able to find a school that fit what I needed and was able to set my military benefit. And I found myself in school with a bunch of 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds. And I learned a lot from those guys. I'll be honest with you, I learned a lot from the guys at barber school. Shout out to Profile Institution, where I went to barber school.
So you went to Profile?
I went to Profile Institute. Yep.
Shout out to Will Stan.
Yep. So
okay, so you went all the way.
I drove all the way from McDonough to Atlanta for 10 and a half months straight.
Wow.
Yep, 10 and a half months straight. And it was the beginning of the success that I started to see once I paid those dues. I felt like until I paid that due, something was missing. And the thing that was missing was me going to barber school and paying that due, sitting there learning about how beauty professionals think, learning about how it works, learning how to get behind those clippers. So I actually found 2 of my barbers that are still with me in barber school.
Really?
So it actually helped.
Okay, what was your barber school experience? How was that?
It was different. I was the oldest one in my class, obviously. And, I tried to instill some of the values that I had already gone through in life to some of these young men and women. I found myself as more of a mentor and a student at the same time.
Yeah.
So I actually enjoyed it because it's right down my lane of the mentoring. I love to do the mentoring thing. It's right down my alley. But it was a good experience going into the adult education, 40 plus years old, trying to learn something new and, kind of getting a little frustrated with because, we get in our ways and we want to learn how to do it really fast.
Absolutely.
But I had to be patient and I had to, humble myself to say, you know what, these people know something that I don't know that I want to know. So I got to humble myself.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's good, it's crazy because I've been a follower of Will Stan's. When I first came down here, I was trying to see what schools was what and who's doing what. And he's very influential in the barber industry. His content online, he's teaching things that everybody needs to know that's in the barber industry. Just dropping gems, and it shows from your skill set and what I've seen. You've been guided in the right way, and every school's not like that. So I definitely want to give that brother kudos. So barber school's done. How was your practical and the written?
It was simple. Like I say, some of that stuff became common sense. You apply the skills that you learned while you were in school. I think when you're going to school with a purpose, like I knew that I needed to do this school to get back to that business. Yeah. So it was easy. I knew that this was the missing piece. So I applied myself. I made sure I paid attention because it was something bigger for me. Okay. While most of the 80% of the school were just trying to figure out where they were going to cut hair, or if they even weren't going to cut hair after they got out of school. But I knew exactly why I needed this piece of paper and what it was going to contribute to once I got done. So I locked in and it wasn't that difficult at all, actually.
Wow. Okay. That's good to hear. Because I hear horror stories from people that went to barber school. They just didn't learn anything or they dropped out. So that's good to know that your overall barber school experience was good. And
it was.
The practical and the written wasn't that difficult. You passed both of them on a first try.
Yeah, first try.
That's good. So shout out to that.
Yeah.
So barbershop is open. You decide to go to barber school to be licensed to be a barber, to be a master barber. Now you in the shop. How much time from when you open up the barbershop till you completed your requirements for your license? How much time was that?
That's about a year and a half.
Okay.
That's about a year and a half time.
Okay.
From the time I opened to the time I finished my requirements that the barbershop had been open.
Okay. And while you was in barber school, was you leaving barber school and coming back to the shop and being in the barbershop from a specific time?
Absolutely. I would leave school at 3 o'clock, shoot across the city, come back to McDonough, get back down this way around 4 o'clock, and I was back in the barbershop.
Nice.
I was doing, owner operating thing. I was still folding towels. I was still sweeping the floor. And then I started to build my own clientele. I started to work with kids. I started right there. I said, okay, let me perfect this. I found the farthest seat in the back of my barbershop, and that's where I sat. I watched the other barbers, do their thing, and I just honed my skills from watching and learning from the other people who had already, gone through the path that I had just gone through. And it got better day by day. And it's still getting better.
Yeah. And you did it the right way. Some will already be a barber and then get a shop, but you did it in reverse, but you made it your duty to say, okay, shop owner, now I'm gonna be a licensed barber, now I'm gonna focus on holding on my skills and focusing on what I need to do to build a clientele and to make sure that establishment thrives. Because my one thing was I was informed early on that you don't want to open up a barber shop if you can't afford to pay for the overhead yourself with your clientele. You don't want to solely be dependent on the people that's going to rent the chairs. So that was my one thing. You want to have 6 to 10 chairs, and you want to make sure that you have a good price point when it comes to the rent, that you're going to be able to make your money from your chair, and that's supposed to be your money for your house, because that's your only income.
Right.
And everything else is from the chairs that from the renters is going to be able to pay for the overhead, and then whatever else is profit. Right. I see a lot of time business owners can't do that, and it's very difficult to keep these barbers in there, especially with the salon suites opening up. There's suites everywhere. So now we have a barbershop owner that is going with the war of the salon suites taking the renters from the barbershop.
Absolutely.
How is that going to work?
So I experienced it, right?
Okay.
I was losing, great talent monthly.
Really?
And I was noticing that they were leaving the correct way, but they were going to something that they felt was the next step in their beauty professional journey.
Okay.
They wanted that more independence in that salon suite. And I was like, okay, how can I counter that? Well, the answer wasn't in a barbershop. It was like, okay, why don't you create one so you give them that upward mobility to be able to leave from your barbershop. So if they wanted to go to a salon suite, they could.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't lose them completely. They would just grow with you.
Absolutely.
So that's why I was able to start this.
That's smart, because the one thing about moving, right? And me, you, and Sean was talking about it, about if you relocate, you're thinking that your client's gonna go with you. But sometimes that ain't the case, because you may go too far.
Right.
But if you leave from right there to come right here, they in the same parking lot.
They're in the same parking lot.
So those people that's gonna pivot to not even pivot, but just the next step in their career is to have their own space to do something private. They don't have to worry about, oh man, I may lose a percentage of my clientele. Because when I left Bill Garner to go to Jonesboro, thinking, I'm good. It's only 2 exits away. Who's going to care?
Right.
But I felt it. They're like, nah, you know what, T. And then barbers have to understand you have a shop, you have shop clients, and you have a barber client.
Right.
And I know the difference of the two, but you're just thinking that you talented, and they like what you bring to the table, that they're going to go with you.
Right.
And I've learned that firsthand, that everybody's not going to go with you.
Absolutely.
They're comfortable with that location works for them. So then you gotta factor that in.
Right.
Are my clientele gonna go with me? Do I have to start building a new clientele? And what's different for me, which is me coming from New York City where everything is close,
Right.
and most people that's going to go to those establishments is right around a 20-block radius. Now we come into Georgia where there's a lot of shopping areas, right? These, what do you call these? Are these called
These are
shopping
called
centers?
shopping plazas. Shopping plazas.
Shopping
yes.
plazas,
Absolutely.
where you have a parking lot, and I was thinking, how is this going to work? There's no me. I'm built on foot traffic. How is this going to work with? I'm a barber, and I need to create a clientele, but ain't nobody walking around. Everybody's
Right.
driving.
Everybody driving.
So that was one thing that I had to learn when I moved down here is how do I get new clients? Yeah, I know how to pass out flyers and business cards to the people, but I'm like standing outside the barbershop waiting for people to come through to the Domino's or whatever.
And they don't move like that.
And they don't move like that. so that's just something that you guys got to learn is how do you maneuver when you put yourself in a different situation.
Right.
And I'm relocating myself and going into a new barbershop, starting a whole new clientele, and didn't know that. So with you doing the barbershop in the salon suites, and it seems like you don't have no conflict, right? Now, did you have people that left the salon suite, the barbershop, to come to the suites?
I absolutely have. I have a staff of 9 people down there to include myself.
Okay.
Four guys and 5 girls. Out of the 5 girls, two of the girls decided they wanted to come to the suite. They had been with me for over a year. I was perfectly fine with their growth and their development to say, okay, you know what, that's a good move for you. And the good part about that is they trusted me throughout this process, which puts more pressure on you when you know you have young men and women's, I won't say career, but you have their best interests at heart, and they know that that's the case.
Yeah.
So they were able to come down here into the area that we're in right now to come work out of this space as they continue to grow in the beauty profession.
That's great. So now that you got 2 spaces open, are you rushing to fill those 2 seats?
Due to the referral program that we spoke about earlier, those 2 girls that left me actually found their own replacements.
So they're good.
They're good.
You ain't lose nothing. You can go over there and you can come over here.
Absolutely.
And so with you being a shop owner and you have affiliate with the barber school because you went there, do you go back to try to recruit other barbers from there, or you just try to focus on putting things out there and just making sure that people know that it's here and they'll come?
I think it's a combination, right? I haven't physically traveled back to the barber school, but a lot of the students, because of the information that I gave them while I was there, they reached back out to me. And I check on people that was in the school. I check back with the instructors and see how's everything going, you know, because that's your alma mater. You know, while it is a tech school, it's still your alma mater.
Yep.
So I reach back there and, you know, and see how they're doing up there and if they need anybody, new barbers. But they do the same to me, so I guess it's reciprocated.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Because, you know, the one thing when it comes to any kind of profession, any job, once you complete whatever trade you're doing or whatever, you know, a lot of places say that they're going to have where you're going to find placement. But a lot of times it's not easy to get placement, right? And even when you're a barber student and you leave the school and now you're going to look for whatever barbershop, there's so many barbershops out here, we just don't know where to go, which one is thriving, which one have good leadership.
Right.
So, you know, even with there being a barber school in McDonough, a lot of people, once they graduate, now they like, what am I going to do? Where am I supposed to go?
Right.
And, you know, we was able to be at Scales Barber Academy when they was doing some kind of competition, and we was able to try. I think that was the first time that we met, no?
Formally, yes, but I think we passed in passing, maybe.
I don't think so. I think that's the first time. I think I've seen
so?
of
maybe
you.
in passing, but maybe not. Maybe formally, yeah. That probably was the first time, yeah.
But you see, you were locked in. That you didn't go to that school, but you know of the school. You know of the people that's there, and you're able to, you know, be invited or have a communication to get there to meet these people. And who knows, with a barber school being so close, it should be where once they graduate, your establishment should be one of those schools on the list that they should be picking from.
And I again, it's all about relationships that you build and you maintain in this industry. And I've learned that, you know, meeting the Terras, the Swoles, the Scales, those guys are a foundation. And again, this is our community. You know, we all live in the McDonough community, and I'm willing to do anything to help out anybody, because you know, you never know when that's going to come back tenfold, where you may need the help on your own. So I try to give back as much as I can, and I get those blessings back tenfold. So with the school being right down the road, if anybody's at that barber school that needs a placement, they can definitely come down and check me out for sure.
That's a fact. So with with all that you got going on, how do you keep a balance between work and life?
It's tough. You kind of got to incorporate the two. You gotta, have your family. This was not an all Lamar project. I've had, my grandkids in here, my kids, my wife, like everybody has in my household and my immediate family has had some impact in this establishment being to where it is today. Because you want to make it feel like it's a family thing. When the day comes and it's time for me to pass this off to my kids, they're familiar with the business, they're familiar with the entrepreneurial spirit that I have. You want to make sure that you create that generational wealth. That's the reason why, that's the real reason behind the barbershop, the suites, the next business. So when it's time for me to move aside, my kids have something to say, you know what, Dad left us this. This is what he was trying to build. Let's keep this going. So I wanted them to be all involved in this project, and they were very present throughout this whole project.
That's great. Since my wife is in real estate, a lot of time I ask her at the closing table, do the people that's buying the homes, do they bring their kids there to experience that? And a lot of times she be like, no, it's just, the buyers and the sellers or whatever parties is involved. And as of late, I've seen more and more people are introducing the whole procedure when it comes to buying something or opening up a business, and we're showing our kids that this is what you could do.
Absolutely.
I feel like since the pandemic, there's more of entrepreneurship being pushed out there to the younger generation. And me and my wife, we speak to our kids all the time. Both of us being entrepreneurs, having our own businesses. We try to instill that in them, because if they don't know, then they'll just be lost just thinking that they have to work for somebody.
Right.
So the fact that you showing, hopefully some of the grandkids done laid some of these floors down or hold something up while you hammer it.
You already
just to
know
show,
it.
you know what I'm saying?
Know
Because we are the ones that's going to take the generational curse that they say we have. This whole stigma of, black people can't be entrepreneurs, they can't run things and be their own boss. And this is proof.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your barbershop was the first proof, and that's been successful. Successful to the point where you can go to the next thing, which is something. This is 2 storefronts. Right. I just want y'all to know that. This place is big. So it's just good to see, from the first conversation that we had, and you showing me when this whole thing was a shell, to seeing the steps, and you was showing the people out there your steps on social media, and a lot of times people don't want to show none of that.
Right.
People don't show the good and the bad of it. They just say, look at the shiny,
right.
Look at the shiny apple, but
right.
they don't show when that apple was growing from the soil.
Right.
So I commend you for being transparent, showing these things on social media, and being able to let me come in to just experience this.
Absolutely.
Because I've informed you even before this was that this is one of my dreams is to open up a salon suite, and I've just been procrastinating for the longest. So to meet somebody like you and you have instilled the fire that I need to go further to do that next. So I commend you, my brother, because it ain't easy. What can you tell anybody out there that's on that cusp of knowing that they want to do something but they're afraid to?
I'm glad you asked that question. When I got a call from my brother this morning and said, hey man, you available? I instantly changed paths. But I thought about something, a nugget that I would want to leave. And this is something that I knew to any entrepreneur, whatever business it is, all your hard work will pay off on the end, but don't shortcut the process. A lot of times we get caught up on the social media piece of it. Oh, this person will give me this, or they'll give me this class, or they'll give me. There is no substitute for hard work. This, even after already being a business owner, opening up one shop, this took me to the brink, right? And I had one of my closest friends in the inner circle. He said, anything, well, I take that back. In order to get to where you've never been, you have to do things you've never done. And to open up this facility, I had to do some things that I had never done before, right? But I'm for sure that this project and this building will take me places that I've never been before. So you got to make the sacrifice. You cannot be scared to fail, right? Wayne Gretzky, this was probably one of the most popular quotes that they taught us in recruiting duty while I was in the military. He said, you miss 100% of the shots you never take. If you never take that shot, how do you ever know what the outcome is going to be?
That's a fact.
So I would tell you and any inspiring entrepreneur is, you already have it. So this is gonna go over your head. Don't be scared to fail. Just jump out there, and you will be surprised what you'll do when adversity hits, when a hurdle hits. You'll definitely overcome. I already know your pedigree. I already know what you're about.
Well, thank you.
So you'll definitely get through it, but don't be scared to just jump out there and take a leap. Because I didn't know sometimes. Like even when we talked in the early stages, I was like, I'm open. I had a plan in place, but I didn't know how I was gonna execute it.
Really?
I put the pressure on myself. I told all these people that I'm gonna open up these suites. I can't just say I changed my mind. I didn't have it all the way figured out. When I spoke it into an existence.
You did?
I did. I didn't have the lease signed. I didn't have the blueprints filled out. But I just knew if I kept talking about it, that I was gonna force myself to do it.
Because you didn't want to look bad.
I didn't want to look bad.
Oh.
So I just jumped out there, and here we are, 10 months later, it's finished. But
that's crazy.
For the first 3 of those 10 months, I had nothing in place to get this place open.
Really?
Nothing.
Okay, well.
Nothing at all.
Damn, that's crazy, bro.
Nothing, bro. But it's here now, and I'm very proud of this. And it just proves that hard work does pay off. And like I said, if you look at my social media, this place was nothing. No lights, no walls, no floors, no HVAC, no electrical.
It definitely was not.
Nothing. Nothing. So it shows that your hard work will pay off. And there was a lot of sleepless nights in the Moore household. But I would tell you that it is all worth it to be able to have my brother come out here and be able to tell my story and get this out there to people so that those inspiring entrepreneurs who might be behind a chair right now know that you can do it too. You just have to put the hard work in.
Well, I salute you, my brother. We salute you, and you are now a part of the fraternity of Salon Suite owners, which is, Suites got a big name. I want to say maybe 2020, and they've been thrown up all over now. But it's not that easy. You got the gurus out here that's doing the courses and stuff like that. But you are a part of that now. So, and it's not that easy, but you're a part of it. And this is just the first step. What is next?
Next is to fill it out. We're about 60 to 70% full. So if you're in the McDonough area and you're looking for a salon suite, you're looking for a salon suite home, my brand is growing. If you want to grow with it, hit me up on my inbox. We're on all socials at DG Grooming Bar, and we're looking forward to having any professional that's willing to grow their business and take the next step in their journey.
That's a fact, man. So listen, this your boy Terry the Barber. We have Lamar Moore, right?
Yes, sir. Right? Yes, sir.
And then, so now I got the first and last name. You do it right, Sir Lamar Moore. And this is Razor Sharp Podcast. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.